Hey everybody, I have two counterintuitive but helpful insights for those of you going through dark times. And sadly, I know way more than I wish I ever did about going through dark times. I've been through plenty of dark times on my own, and I have both cared for and encouraged people going through their own set of dark times. Speaking for myself, when my 17-year-old son Zane passed away on February 8th, 2016, that was an incredibly dark time for me. That event and the months of grieving and recovery that followed, like I said, that was a very dark time. My childhood, some of you have heard me mention my childhood in the past. It was very abusive. I suffered every kind of abuse you can imagine and plenty of kinds of abuse you don't ever want to have to imagine. And for me, that was obviously a dark time. Right now, I know of 4 people facing cancer, and they're going through their own dark times. And of course, as you know, America is going through a very dark time right now that brings deep, deep heartache to many, many of us, myself included. One awful thing I've learned about going through a dark time that I think is important you have an awareness of is that they tend to go on much longer than you ever thought they would. When you're going through dark time, you think, is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to come to an end? It's been going on so long. But I promise you this, all storms run out of rain, and all dark times do eventually come to an end. The first counterintuitive insight I have for you is about your emotions. When you're going through dark times, sometimes your emotions can leave you feeling disoriented. As you can imagine, you will experience, when you're going through dark times, some tougher emotions like sadness and dread and anger. But you're also conversely going to experience some brighter emotions like joy and gratitude and hope. And hear this. When you are going through dark times, it is okay to feel those brighter emotions. Let me say that again. When you are going through dark times, it is okay to allow yourself to feel those brighter emotions. Now, it may at times feel naughty or inappropriate to experience those brighter emotions or going through dark times, but it is vital to your well-being that you own and experience your emotions. Now, I know it's unpleasant to feel them, but do not stuff those tough emotions. When you feel dread, when you feel anger, when you feel sadness, don't stuff it. Don't keep it down there inside of you. Let it out. Let it move on through you so you can get it out of you. And conversely, don't stifle those brighter emotions. When you feel joy, when you feel hope, when you feel gratitude, don't stifle it. Let it to the surface, experience it. Let those brighter emotions bring you warmth and light. When you're going through dark times, you can't spend all of your time in the pit of despair. So when those brighter emotions come to the surface, make sure you lean into them and feel them. It's really important to your well-being, to your vitality, that you let yourself experience those brighter emotions. And I'm telling you, the brighter emotions, when they come, and you experience them, they will sustain you through the dark times. Now, the second insight I have for you, it may seem at first ridiculous or foolish, but it is absolutely vital to you making it through dark times. You need this insight. You need to apply it to your life to make it through dark times. And here it is. When you are going through dark times, you need to make sure that you embrace enjoyment. Now, let me say that again. When you are going through dark times, you need to make sure that you embrace enjoyment. These days, I call it having life-affirming enjoyment sessions. So what do I mean when I say life-affirming enjoyment sessions? I'll give you a couple general examples here and then a little bit 2 specific examples from my own journey. But it could be TV shows. It could be watching a movie. It could be enjoying the outdoors. It could be music. It could be art. It could be spending time with a loved one. When those opportunities arise for you to have a life-affirming enjoyment session, lean into it, savor it, really take advantage of it. Let it fill you and restore you. Let it fill your tank and restore your hope. And there is a big difference between self-medicating and having an intentional, life-affirming enjoyment session. I should probably make a whole separate video about self-medicating. It's a thing. A lot of us do it. But let me say this. Self-medicating is a false escape that helps you avoid the misery that you do not want to face or address. I'm going to say that again. Self-medicating is a false escape that helps you avoid the misery that you don't want to face or address. Now, the reason I said that self-medicating is a false escape, because the only way out of misery that you're experiencing is to squarely face it and address it. And I see people all the time that self-medicate. They're in a really bad marriage, a dead marriage, a zombie marriage, as I call it, dead, lifeless, and still going. And rather than have the courage to deal with that, they self-medicate to avoid the misery. I see people that are in careers and professions, jobs they absolutely hate. And then rather than deal with the misery of that and face it squarely and begin a journey heading off towards something better, they simply self-medicate to avoid that misery. I see people that are living lives that are not the lives their heart longs for. And rather than face that squarely, they self-medicate to avoid when that longing comes up in their heart. It flares up in their heart, and they just self-medicate to kind of avoid the misery of living a life that's not the life their heart longs for. Self-medicating does not fill you up. It doesn't restore you. It doesn't give you hope. It simply helps you avoid the pain that you don't want to face or address. Now, I have found that people are going through truly dark times. They usually are doing what they can to address what they're going through and to face it. Now, here's another truth about dark times. Often it's a situation you can't control. You can't do anything about. You have to ride it out. It's kind of like a wildfire or a storm. I don't know if any of you have been through a wildfire. I've been through a wildfire a couple different times, and it's coming. You can't stop it. There's the roar, there's the smoke, the sky darkens, you smell it. When the wildfire goes through, it's terrifying, it's loud, it's hot. And the difference between a wildfire and the kind of storm that most of us go through when we go through dark times is the wildfire, boom, it's over quick. You hear it coming, it's a roar, and it passes, and everything in its wake is charred black, and there's ash on everything. But the storm of a dark time, it's something you can't control, and you just kind of have to wait it out. And it is like a storm. Dark times are often like a storm where it's just ongoing rain and thunder and lightning and literal darkness. And you're like, when is this going to be over? Remember, all storms run out of rain. But dark times are like a storm that it's something you can't control. But you can respond to it wisely and proactively address it. Now, I got to tell you, when you're in a big kind of storm like that, when you're going through dark times that you can't control and you're responding to it wisely and you're doing what you can to address the situation, it will drain you. It will wear you out. And that's why you need to make sure that you're availing yourself of those opportunities to have life-affirming enjoyment sessions, because they will fill you up. They will sustain you. They will restore your hope. And you can't just run on empty. There's no way to live, and it won't work. It's not effective. Eventually, you just kind of run out of gas. And I want you to get through your dark times. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but really availing yourself of regularly of life-affirming enjoyment sessions, it will make a significant difference. All right, let me close with a couple of specific examples of how I've done this in my own journey. Now, I mentioned my dark childhood. It was awful. It was rough. But one of the things that really sustained me is books and reading. My grandma bought me lots and lots of books. When I was very, very young, it was golden books, and I had a huge stack of golden books. And at a very early age, I could read them myself, and I would read them to myself, and I would enjoy them. And then early in grade school, I started reading The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and the Hardy Boys books. My grandma, eventually I had all of the Hardy Boys books, I think up through 106 or 107. I had a whole collection of them. I had The Lord of the Rings, all three books of that one story. I had The Hobbit. And I loved those stories, taking some time away just to go away from my dark childhood, be able to take a break from it and, be in my bedroom or be off somewhere, in the wilderness I grew up in with a book and really enjoying it. I loved those stories. Just the stories themselves were helpful to me. But the other thing that was helpful to me is that, at least in the Hardy Boys books, they always solved the mystery. There was always closure. The conflict came to an end, and that was always inspiring to me. And the thing that I personally loved about the Hobbit, and particularly the Lord of the Rings, is it didn't mince words. It was very, very clear. There is evil out there. Bad people do bad things. And that was really important to me because as a child, I kind of was given the sense often that no, there's not really evil out there, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the greatest evils in my life was my mom. And she insinuated herself into my private school. And everyone said, oh, she's Mother Shomler. She's the greatest mother in the world. How lucky you are. How awesome it is. And having that kind of evil like just paved over, like, oh, no, everything's okay. It was awful to me. And I just so much want, now I wish I could go back and tell those friends of mine, from grade school, like, oh, you must have a great mother. It's like, well, how about we have her take you and her braided horsewhip into a darkened room and see what a great of a mother you think she is. But in all of those books, the evil was defeated. And I'm telling you, hear this, eventually, the forces of good do defeat the forces of evil. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but eventually the forces of good do overcome and defeat the forces of evil. And I have to tell you, having those books to read and taking time to read those books in my childhood, that gave me hope and it sustained me and it helped me get through one of the darkest times in my life. Now, I've already mentioned about my son Zane passing away, and that was another brutally dark time for me. And shortly after Zane passed, my dear friends, Eric and Gary, they called me up. They needed to meet with me. They needed to have a meeting with me. It was like, okay, I guess it's a distraction. I need to help them with some kind of project. Maybe it's some culinary thing. I wasn't sure what it was, but I'm going to go help Eric and Gary. And they love Tabor Tavern, as we met at Tabor Tavern in Portland, and they have really good burgers at Tabor Tavern. They have this bacon jam that's amazing. My friend Eric loves the bacon jam for good reason. It's fantastic. So we order our food, we order our cocktails, absolutely love cocktails. So orders taken. I pull out my black bag that I used to carry with me everywhere. I pull out my yellow pad and my blue pen, and I lay it there, and I look at them and say, okay, what can I help you with? And I'm ready to take notes and help them. And I said, Stephen, we don't need any help. We brought you this. And they pulled out this very expensive bottle of whiskey. And I love whiskey. I love whiskey a lot. Now, I love gin more, but I love whiskey. And I was blessed to have so many good experiences experiencing whiskey the way I love to experience it best back in the old country, in the Pacific Northwest. Because the way I like to have whiskey is one of two ways. My two favorite ways to enjoy whiskey, well, there's three. But the first one is it's cold outside. It's maybe drizzling and raining, and I'm bundled up, and that happens a lot in the Pacific Northwest. And there's a fire, and I can sit in front of a fire, and I can enjoy some whiskey there in that cold weather. Maybe it's drizzling with a fire going. The second way that I love to enjoy whiskey is on the Oregon coast with a fire burning and the sun setting over the Pacific. That's a fantastic way to enjoy whiskey. And of course, the third way I love to enjoy whiskey is with dear friends who also enjoy whiskey. I've had a number of experiences sitting with dear friends, and we just have some whiskey and chat and visit. And that's the third way I love whiskey. Of course, now where I live now, it's warm, and so don't have much cold weather call for whiskey, but I do get to have gin. Warm days, gin martinis, fantastic. And when it's really hot, man, there's nothing like a gin and tonic. Anyways, back to Eric and Gary. They gave me this whiskey, and it like broke my heart. They didn't want it from me. They just wanted to give it to me and love me and take care of me. And I took that home, and where I lived at the time, I had a backyard with this metal fire pit, and I started a fire, and I poured some whiskey, and I was just really relishing sitting in front of the fire, enjoying that whiskey. And I have to tell you, I started to feel guilty. Zane's dead, and I'm enjoying whiskey. What is this? Is ridiculous. And I had to journal my way out of that. And let me just tell you how important journaling is for life change. You can journal for life change. Just take pen to paper, not typing your phone, not typing your computer. I'm very serious. It's a different physiological experience, but pen to paper, and just start writing. And if you're like, I don't know what to write, here's what you write. This is stupid. This is dumb. I don't know what to write. Stephen told me to journal for life change. What would I even journal about? I've got this problem. I know what to do about it. Or there's this situation. And if you won't get through 2 full pages before all of a sudden it will come out onto the pen and paper, and it'll start there. And you will begin the process of journaling for life change. The thing that's in there that you can't identify, it will come out. You'll look down and you'll read it. And if things are really bad in your life, don't be surprised if your journaling doesn't lead you to crying. And that's okay. Don't stifle those tears. It's okay to cry. Just put the pen and paper down and cry. Let yourself cry. Let it out. So I had to deal with my guilt about enjoying the fire and the whiskey. Zane's dead. What am I doing? But I really needed that time. It gave me breaks from my grieving. Grieving is exhausting and wears you out. And I have people that have things they need to grieve and they tell me, oh, Stephen, I could never grieve that. I'll start crying and I will never stop. And that is just not true. That's not how it works. When you've got deep, awful ache to grieve, you may start crying hard and loud in a way that scares you and make noises that scare you and just snot bubbles come out your nose, and it's just when you're racked with grief and it's coming out of you in sobs. That won't go on for more than an hour because your body gets physically tired. And your body says, okay, the grief tanks, we haven't got it all out yet. We got a lot out and we need to take a break. And so no, you will not start crying and never be able to stop. You'll wear yourself out after an hour or so and say, okay, we'll do it again in a week or two or in a day or two. But it sounds, I've said this before, I'll say it again. It sounds funny, but it's so true. Grieving is like going to the bathroom. When you don't do it, bad things happen. So if you've got losses you need to grieve, please grieve them. And I'm around people now, I'm pretty intuitive now, and there's things I pick up on. I pick up on when couples do and don't like each other. I pick up on when people have things, heartaches they haven't grieved. I pick up when people have wounds they haven't healed from, trauma they haven't healed from it. Because the things inside you, they come out whether you like it or not. And the things you don't address, they come out sideways. And I can usually pick up on them. And it breaks my heart when I'm around people and I can pick up on they have losses they are stuffing down the grief and not grieving it. Anyways, back to the whiskey and the fire and me grieving in the midst of Zane. I'm enjoying this whiskey and this fire regularly, and I learned that it was okay. It was a break. It was an oasis for me. It was a life-affirming enjoyment session. It was quiet. It was solitude. It was good whiskey. It was a fire. It was cool weather. End of February, March, April. It's cool weather in Pacific Northwest. It was perfect for me, and I needed to avail myself of that life-affirming enjoyment session so that I could get through all of that grieving I had to do. And I mentioned I know 4 people that are facing cancer right now. And one of them recently put on social media that they really wanted steak and eggs for breakfast. And they got to the store before it opened. As soon as the store opened, they went and bought steak and eggs, came home and made some steak and eggs. And I so hope that individual, it really, really deeply enjoyed those steak and eggs and savored those steak and eggs and made the most of that life-affirming enjoyment session. And I know none of you watching this video would condemn that cancer patient, that person struggling with cancer, and say, oh, how dare you enjoy a great meal of steak and eggs while you're faced with cancer. You know that would be unkind and inhumane. So don't do the same thing to yourself. When you're going through dark times and you have the opportunity to have your own version of steak and eggs and a nice meal and a life-affirming enjoyment session, don't condemn yourself. Don't be unkind and inhumane to yourself. I know it can feel awkward and uncomfortable, but trust me, when you're going through dark times, you need regularly to experience life-affirming enjoyment sessions. So those are the 2 counterintuitive insights I have for those of you going through dark times. Number 1, experience your emotions, both the tough ones and the brighter ones, and don't stifle the brighter ones. Experience them and let them sustain you and bring you warmth and light. And the second is make sure that you regularly avail yourself of life-affirming enjoyment sessions, whether it's books or a show or radio or time with a loved one or time with music or art or whatever it is. Make sure that you regularly do that. If you're going through a dark time right now and this video spoke to you and resonated with you, then I would encourage you to put it aside for a day or two and then come back to it with a pen and paper and take notes. And take notes on the part that apply to you right now in the midst of your journey. Because I'm telling you, we were not made to go through dark times alone. We need each other. And whether it's people that we watch on videos or people that encourage us or care for us, I want you to know that I'm pulling for you. If you're going through a dark time, I'm pulling for you. I've been through my own dark times. I'll close with this. Please remember, you can't control the storms. They come into your life, but they do run out of rain. Dark times do end, and eventually the forces of good do defeat the forces of evil. I'm Stephen Shomler. I'm pulling for you. I'll talk to you again soon.